Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. In the previous session, we have completed the first 3 chapters of the second canto. In those 3 chapters, we have seen how Sukadeva Goswami has established the supremacy of Bhakti Yoga over various other paths on the Vedic landscape, including Ashtanga Yoga, that includes meditation on Virat Rupa or the universal form, and meditation on the Super Soul. And we also have seen how Sukadeva Goswami established the superiority of Bhakti Yoga over karmakandic rituals and also the process of worshipping various devatas. And he established that Bhakti Yoga is the supreme spiritual path, topmost spiritual path that is recommended even by the supreme, by the great Lord Brahma also. And Bhakti Yoga gives us the topmost benefit for the entire humanity. And we have seen such beautiful jewel-like verses. Akamaha sarvakamo va mokshakama udaradhihi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purushah param. Whether you have material desires, whether you don't have material desires, or whether you are desiring liberation, you can perform Krishna Bhakti. And by worshipping Krishna, one can attain the Supreme Lord's lotus feet in the spiritual world, and one can just transcend this material realm and give up one's materialistic goals and aspirations. All that we have seen. And repeatedly, Sukadeva Goswami has emphasized on the fact that one has to live one's life by hearing about Krishna, chanting about Krishna, and by remembering Krishna. And Sukadeva Goswami emphasized that Hare Namanu Kirtanam means that chanting the holy names of the Supreme Lord Krishna is the topmost spiritual path. That is the best way to cultivate love of Godhead and attain the lotus feet of Krishna in the spiritual world. So all these beautiful highlights that we have seen in the first 3 chapters. And in this session, we will discuss chapter number 4, 5, 6 and 7. In the 4th chapter, we will see that Sukadeva Goswami will offer prayers to the Supreme Lord. In the 5th chapter, we will see that Sukadeva Goswami quotes a conversation between Brahma and Narada, and in that through that conversation, he will describe the process of creation. How the universe is created, he describes. The 6th chapter also focuses on the process of creation. And in the 7th chapter, we will see a description of so many Leelavataras of the Supreme Lord. This is a quick outline of what we are going to discuss today. We will begin with the 4th chapter. The 4th chapter says the process of creation. It's like an introduction. The process of creation comes in the 5th chapter, but in the 4th chapter, the foundational discussions to start the discussion of process of creation will begin. So, Parikshit Maharaj has heard from Sukadeva Goswami in the first 3 chapters that one has to hear about Krishna. And he also has heard that materialistic way of life is not a very proper way of spending one's human form of life. So Sukadeva Goswami describes his own conviction of this whole process. He says that in the first shloka he says, Atmajaya sutagara pasudravina bandhushu rajye cha vikale nityam virudham mamatam jahau. Atma Jaya Suta Agara Pasu Dravina Bandhushu. Atma is oneself, Jaya wife, Suta children, Agara house, and Pashu so many animals, Dravina Bandhushu wealth and family members and relatives. So like that, an ordinary materialistic person's mind is absorbed in all these things throughout one's life. Yeah, one should responsibly perform one's duties towards all these things. But that is not the only purpose of human life. One should also cultivate spiritual realization. One should also try to follow the prescriptions of the Shastras and perform Bhakti Yoga and perfect one's life. So, Rajye cha vikale nityam virudham mamatam jahau. So Parikshit concentrates his mind on Krishna and then mentions his own conviction on the futility of material life. He has just given up everything. He has given up his home, his wife, his children, his kingdom, his ministers, his soldiers, his treasury, and every facility that he has. And he came on the bank of Ganges and sat in front of Sukadeva Goswami and tried to hear the descriptions of Srimad Bhagavatam. So now, after hearing this, Sukadeva Goswami answers, after speaking like this, Sukadeva Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj asks so many questions to Sukadeva Goswami. So Parikshit says, my dear Sukadeva Goswami, your Harikatha is dispelling my ignorance. You are describing Harikatha so sweetly, and all my ignorance and misconceptions and illusion is getting eradicated. So can you please explain the glories of the Lord? So Sukadeva Goswami spoke that one has to hear about Krishna, and Parikshit Maharaj is eager to hear about Krishna. But what about Krishna that he should hear? Krishna has performed so many pastimes. Of all the pastimes of Krishna, which pastime should Parikshit Maharaj hear first? So the pastimes of Krishna are divided into two categories. There could be multiple categories, but one way of categorizing them is in this way. Those pastimes that Krishna has performed through his material energy, and those pastimes that Krishna has performed through his spiritual energy. These are the two categories. And the incarnations of Krishna are also of two categories in similar lines. Those incarnations of Krishna that are very much connected with this material creation, and those incarnations of Krishna that are performing various pastimes on a spiritual plane. Of course, there's nothing material in Krishna's activities, but Krishna has certain incarnations to orchestrate this material creation, the maintenance of this material world and the destruction of this material world. So these incarnations which are much related to the material world are the Purushavasaras and the Gunavataras. Purushavasaras are three in number. One, Karanodakasaya Vishnu or Mahavishnu, from whose bodily pores millions of universes manifest. Second, Garbhodakasaya Vishnu. So Garbhodakasaya Vishnu enters within each and every universe and manifests various details in the universe. And Kshirodakasaya Vishnu, who lies on the milk ocean and expands into the hearts of every single living being as the Paramatma. These are the three Purushavasaras. And Gunavataras are also three: Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. Brahma is the in charge of mode of passion, Vishnu is the in charge of mode of goodness, Shiva is in charge of mode of ignorance. And Brahmaji takes care of the creation part, and Vishnu takes care of the maintenance of this world, and Shiva takes care of the destruction. So these are various incarnations of the Lord that are related to the material creation. So Parikshit Maharaj wanted to hear about the Lord as per the recommendation of Sukadeva Goswami, but he thought it wise to first hear about those activities of the Supreme Lord Krishna that he does in relation to the material world. Then Parikshit Maharaj had a plan to hear about those activities of the Lord that he does on a spiritual plane. All his Leelavataras. Parikshit Maharaj did not directly jump into Krishna's Govardhan Leela, Krishna's Rasa Leela, or many other pastimes of Vrindavan, Mathura, Dwaraka. He first wanted to understand how the Supreme Lord Krishna creates this world. Thus Bhagavatam very systematically presents first the greatness of Krishna in the initial cantos, his majesty, his grandeur, his power, how he is the creator, maintainer, destroyer, proprietor of this universe, owner of this universe. That is described in the initial cantos, and in the later cantos, Krishna's sweet Leelas are also described. Now Parikshit first asked, how did the Supreme Lord manifest these material universes? So Sukadeva Goswami began to answer in the 11th shloka. Ityupamantrito ragnam gunanukathane harehe hrishikesham anusmritya prativaktum prachakrame. Sukadeva Goswami systematically began to answer the questions asked by Parikshit Maharaj. He says, Gunanukathane harihi. And Sukadeva Goswami got an opportunity to do Gunanukathana or to do Anukathana or to do description of Lord's gunas. So he began to answer. But before answering the questions of Parikshit Maharaj, Sukadeva Goswami began to offer beautiful prayers to the Lord. So before describing the glories of the Lord, let me first offer my obeisances unto the Lord. With this intention, Sukadeva Goswami offered several prayers, and we won't be able to discuss all the prayers, but we will just recite a few of them and elaborate them, and then we will discuss the flow of all the prayers. In the 12th shloka, the Sukadeva Goswami's prayers will begin from 11th shloka till 25th shloka. In the 12th shloka, Sukadeva Goswami says that, O Lord, you accept the three modes of creation and reside in all the jivas as super soul, and your ways are inconceivable. And he says that, my dear Lord, in the 13th shloka, Sukadeva Goswami says, you are the complete form of existence. You liberate all pious devotees and you destroy the advances of materialistic people, demoniac people or non-devotees. And you grant specific destination to spiritual seekers or transcendentalists. And in the 14th shloka he says, Namo namaste stu rushabhaya sattvatam virudhakasthaya muhuhku yoginam nirasta samyatishayena radhasa swadhamani brahmani ramsyate namaha. Oh, my dear Lord Krishna, you are the enjoyer of all material worlds and spiritual worlds. You are the supreme enjoyer. My obeisances unto you, he says. And in the 15th shloka, Sukadeva Goswami offers a beautiful, heart-touching prayer. He says, Yat kirtanam yat smaranam yadikshanam yad vandanam yat shravanam yadarhanam lokasya sadyo vidhunoti kalmasham tasmai subhadra shravase namo namaha. This is a very beautiful shloka where Sukadeva Goswami says, Yat kirtanam means glorifying Krishna. Yat smaranam, remembering Krishna. Yad ikshanam, seeing Krishna. Yad vandanam, offering respects to Krishna or prayers to Krishna. Yat shravanam, hearing about Krishna. Yad arhanam, doing puja, means worshipping Krishna. So by doing these 6 things to Krishna, Yat kirtanam, yat smaranam, yad ikshanam, yad vandanam, yat shravanam, yad arhanam. By doing all these 6 things to Krishna, lokasya sadyo vidhunoti kalmasham. Immediately, the contamination within the hearts of everybody in the entire creation is vanquished, it's smashed. If only one can sincerely hear about Krishna, speak about Krishna, worship Krishna, take the darshan of Krishna, by doing all these elements of devotional service, one will be completely purified at heart. Tasmai subhadra shravase namo namaha. He says like that. Next, in the 16th shloka, Sukadeva Goswami says that surrendering unto you, my dear Lord, it will relieve us from all attachments, from all the present attachments and future attachments. Everything is removed. Tasmai subhadra shravase namo namaha. This is a common line in all the prayers, in most of the prayers. And in the 17th shloka, Sukadeva Goswami speaks another beautiful point. He says, Tapasvino dana parayashashvino manasvino mantra vidassu mangalaha kshemam na vindanti vinaya darpanam tasmai subhadra shravase namo namaha. Tapasvino dana parayashashvino. Tapasvina means those who are very austere. Tapasvino Danapara means those who are very charitable. Yashashvino means those who are very famous. Tapasvino, Danapara, Yashashvino, Manasvino, very thoughtful people. Mantravidaha, those who are well versed in chanting mantras. Sumangalaha, and many other. There are performers of so many auspicious activities. Sumangalaha. Kshemam na vindanti vida yadarpanam. If people who are doing all these activities, whether they are austerities or charities or chanting mantras or Vedic study, whatever, if people do not do those activities for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, as an offering to the Supreme Lord, kshemam na vindanti, they will not get any benefit. So, whatever we are doing, we should do for the pleasure of Krishna. In the first canto also we discussed, samsiddhir haritoshanam atah pumbhir dvijasreshta varnashrama vibhagashah swanushtitasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. Whatever we do, our regular duties as part of certain varna or certain ashrama, or our austerities or charities or Vedic rituals and Vedic education, everything that we are doing should be done as an offering to Krishna. Then only they are successful. Otherwise, they are even said, the Bhagavatam even says that it is Shramayeva hi kevalam. And Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, he says that Yat karoshi yadashnasi yajjuhoshi dadashiyat yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you are doing, please do it as an offering to me. Whatever you do, whatever you give in charity, whatever you do, you just offer it, you just make it as an offering to me. Same thing Sukadeva Goswami is also saying. Dedicating one's qualities in the service of the Supreme Lord will give all kinds of results. In the 18th shloka, Sukadeva Goswami glorifies, so far he has glorified Krishna. Now he will glorify the potency of Krishna's devotees. He says, Kirata hunandhra pulinda pulkasha abhira shambha yavana khasadayah yenye cha papa yadapa shraya shrayah shuddhyanti tasmai prabhavishnave namah. He says, Kirata hunandhra pulinda pulkasha. There are so many people who are born in very low class families, or in tribal areas, or in very poor families, who are not very well educated, who are not very rich. So even such people also can be purified completely, can be elevated in their consciousness by taking shelter and guidance of the devotees of Krishna. Yenyecha papa yadapashrayashrayah shuddhyanti tasmai prabhavishnave namaha. This is the prabhava, this is the great influence of Vishnu's devotees and Vishnu. That shuddhyanti tasmai, people who are born in such sinful lives also can be completely purified of their sinful contamination. 19th shloka, Sukadeva Goswami says that super soul and the Supreme Lord of all realized souls, you are the super soul. You are the personification of Vedas, and you are the personification of religious scriptures and austerities. And in the 20th shloka he says, Shriyaha patir yagna patir prajapatir dhyam patir loka patir dharapati patir gatis chandaka vrishnisatvatam prasidatam me bhagavan satam patihi. In this shloka, Sukadeva Goswami says, Shriyaha pati, my dear Krishna, you are the Lord of all beauties, of all opulences. Yagnapatir, you are the Lord of all sacrifices. Prajapatir, you are the Lord of all living entities. Dhyampati, you are the Lord of our intelligence also. Lokapatir, you are the Lord of all the planetary systems. Then Dharapatir, you are the supreme master of this entire Bhumandala, Dhara. Then Patir Gatis Chandhaka Vrishni Satvatam, you are the master of all Vrishni dynasty and Andhaka Bhoja dynasties in which you are born, Yadu dynasty. So Prasidatam me Bhagavan Satampatihi, ultimately you are Satampati, you are the Lord of your devotees. Please be merciful upon us. Like that Sukadeva Goswami glorifies. And you are worshipped by Brahma and Shiva also. Like that in the 21st shloka, the Lord, Sukadeva Goswami glorifies the Lord as giver of liberation. In the 22nd shloka, he says that you have given knowledge to Brahmaji also. In the 23rd shloka, he says you are the cause of all living entities who are subjected to different modes. Like that, he glorifies the Lord in various ways in his prayers. And finally, in the 25th shloka, Sukadeva Goswami says, Parikshit Maharaj, you have asked me so many questions. Now, after offering prayers to the Lord, I will answer those questions. But these questions have already been answered by Lord Brahma, because Narada Muni has already asked these questions to Brahma way back, long back. At some time, in some conversation between Narada Muni and Brahmaji, they had a discussion on these topics. So I will quote their conversation and then answer your questions. That brings us to the 5th chapter. The 5th chapter, Prabhupada gives the title, The Cause of All Causes. In this chapter, in the 1st and 2nd shlokas, Narada Muni asks Brahma 6 questions. He says, Yad Rupam Yad Adhishtanam Yatah Srishtam Yat Samstham Yat Param Yatcha. There are 6 questions asked by Narada Muni to Lord Brahma. He says, all these 6 questions are questions about the universe. Narada Muni says, my dear Brahma, Yad Rupam, what are the characteristics of this universe? Yad Adhishtanam, what is the background of this universe? Yat Srishtam, how is the universe created? Yat Samstham, how is the universe annihilated or conserved? We will elaborate on all these questions. Yat Param, the universe depends on what? Yatcha, what are the ingredients of the universe? What is this universe composed of? Then, after asking these 6 questions, Narada Muni presents his convictions in front of Brahmaji. He says, my dear Brahma, I think that you know everything about creation and you are the supreme independent Lord in this universe because you are the creator of this universe. So, you know everything. Just like a spider can create a web and it can wind up the web, similarly you know everything about the universe like a walnut in your hand. So, but I see that you are meditating on some personality. I see you meditating on someone. So, if you are the greatest person in this universe, why should you meditate on someone? Is there someone greater than you? So, these are the questions asked by Narada Muni to Brahma. It's not that Narada Muni does not know the answer. Narada Muni is very well aware that Supreme Lord Krishna or Vishnu are superior to Brahma. Brahma is operating only based on the powers given to him by the Supreme Lord Vishnu or Brahma, but Narada Muni asked on behalf of common people. Whenever great souls in Bhagavatam are asking some very simple questions, that is only to enlighten all of us. Through their questions, we know the answers, not that they don't know the answer. So, Brahmaji replies to Narada Muni's questions. He says, first, before answering the questions about the universe, Brahmaji first says that, oh Narada Muni, you said that I am the supreme in this universe. No, that's wrong. You say that I am the creator and I know everything about this creation. No, that is wrong. I only create what has already been created by the Supreme Lord. I only recreate what He has created. Thus, He is the primary creator and I am the secondary creator. So, Brahmaji is very humble enough to admit that He is not the Supreme Lord. So, he is very humble. As a humble and obedient subservient of the Supreme Lord, Brahmaji does not claim any credit for his own creation and he transfers all the credit for creation to the Supreme Lord. Then he begins the process of creation. Then he also says that, my dear Narada Muni, only because of Maya people think that me or the other devatas are supreme. So only because of ignorance people think that I am the supreme, but there is a Supreme Lord, Vishnu, Krishna. I am just a instrument in their hands. Then he starts answering. The first question asked by Narada Muni was, Yad Rupam, what are the characteristics of this universe? The answer is, the universe is composed of 5 ingredients. Dravya, various material elements. Kala, time factor. Karma, the fruitive baggage of all living entities. Swabhava, are the impressions of the living entities carried from life to life. And Jiva, the living entity himself. So these are the 5 ingredients with which this universe is composed of. But all these 5 are manifestations or energies of the Supreme Lord Vasudeva. You are asking about the characteristics of the universe. I say that Vasudeva is, all the ingredients of the universe are expanded from Lord Vasudeva only. Vasudeva is everything. They are non-different from Vasudeva in one sense. And second question was Yad Adhishtanam and Yat Param, another question. So he joined 2 questions. So second question and 5th question. So what is the basis of this universe, or the universe is dependent on what? Basically the universe is dependent on Narayana. Narayana para Veda, Narayana para Gati, Narayana param Gnana, Narayana param Tapaha, Narayana paro Yoga, Narayana para Makha, Narayana paro Loko, Narayana para Deva. So like that, Narayana is everything. He is the Gati, he is the Gnana, he is the Tapa, he is the Yoga, he is Makha, he is Loka. Everything is Narayana only. The entire universe is dependent on Narayana. The Supreme Lord Narayana is the basis and foundation of the entire universe. Thus, without Narayana, universe cannot exist. This has been established by Brahma in front of Narada Muni. And that Supreme Lord Narayana will control this universe and maintain this universe through his energies, which are the three modes of material nature: Sattvaguna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna. Through Sattvaguna, the Lord maintains this universe. Through Rajoguna, the Lord creates this universe. Through Tamoguna, he would destroy the universe periodically and again recreate, remanifest this universe. So it is the Lord who is maintaining everything through his energies and expansions and representatives. And people cannot perceive the Lord because they are bound by the three modes. You can see the picture where Krishna is there, the Supreme Lord, and the three ladies are there. The three ladies are representing the three material modes, and they are holding strings to control the movements of living entities. That means the living entities are controlled by the three modes, and these three modes are the energies of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Now, having said this, that Krishna or Vasudeva or Narayana, they are the basis or foundation or the source of sustenance of the entire universe. Then Brahmaji begins how the universe has been created. The manifestation of the universe he explains. This is the creation of the universe. You see that big chart? The answer to third question, Yataha Srishtam or Karana Srishti, how this universe is created. Karana Srishti and Karya Srishti, two things are there. Karana Srishti means the creation of the basic elements with which the universe is formed. The basic ingredients of the universe is this Karana Srishti. Lord Mahavishnu is the Supreme Lord. He is an expansion of an expansion of an expansion of Krishna. So he lies on the causal ocean. Mahavishnu is also called Karanodak Sai Vishnu. And he is a Swamsha, he is an expansion of the Supreme Lord Krishna. And he glances on Prakriti. When he glances on Prakriti, he impregnates all the jivas into the Prakriti or into the material nature, which is also called Pradhana. And along with the jivas, karma and swabhava of the jivas also will go into the pradhana. And all these things are manifested through kala. Kala means time. Kala is time. And the jivas are infused, are impregnated into the womb of pradhana. Pradhana is the material nature or prakriti, the material energy of the Lord. And karma is the fruitive baggage of all living entities, the reactions to all their actions, previous actions. Swabhava means the material impressions that the living entities are storing within themselves. So, in the beginning of the creation, when the universe was not existent, the Supreme Lord, his expansion, in his expansion, Mahavishnu, he glances on the Pradhana, which is a form of the material nature or Prakriti. Fine. So, as he is glancing, different transformations takes place by the influence of time or kala. And when he glances, he impregnates all the jivas or the living entities into the womb of material nature, which is along with their karmas and swabhavas. And that pradhana, in that stage of pradhana, the three material modes are inactive. So they are in an unmixed state. The three material modes of Sattvaguna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna, they cannot exert their influence. They are not very active at that stage of Prakriti. So by the passage of time, this pradhana or material nature transforms into Mahat Tattva. Mahat Tattva is the sum total of all universal ingredients. It's a transformed state of pradhana. And that Mahat Tattva is predominantly in Sattvaguna. And when now in Mahat Tattva stage, the modes start becoming active. So when in the initial stages, when Sattvaguna is active, it is Mahat Tattva. And when Rajoguna becomes prominent, that Mahat Tattva becomes a Sutra Tattva. And by the transformation that is caused by time, that Mahat Tattva gets transformed into Ahankara, where Tamoguna becomes prominent. Mode of ignorance becomes prominent. So Mahat Tattva becomes Ahankara, where tamoguna is prominent. And that ahankara, which is predominantly in tamoguna, is further divided into three gunas. It is again, it gives rise to so many elements by the influence of three material gunas. There is bigger umbrella of tamoguna, under that there is sattva-guna, rajoguna and tamoguna. And ahankara in mode of passion gives rise to the mind and sense devatas, which are also called adhidaiva. And ahankara in the mode of passion, means false ego in the mode of passion, gives rise to pranavayus and the 10 senses, means 5 knowledge senses and 5 working senses, and also intelligence. And this ahankara or false ego in the mode of ignorance gives rise to the 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, and the 5 tanmatras. Tanmatras means sense objects. So how this transformation takes place? First sound manifests. From sound comes ether, and from ether comes the touch element. And from touch, air manifests. From air comes form, the sense object of form. And from form, the element of fire manifests. From fire comes taste, or the sense object of taste. And from taste, water manifests. From water, smell comes, and from smell, earth comes. There are many other details of creation, but we summarized it in this one chart. So, from Mahavishnu, all these elements manifested. Now, at this stage of creation, there are 23 elements. There are 5 senses, knowledge senses, and 5 working senses, total 10. And there are 5 gross elements, and there are 5 sense objects. So, 5 plus 5, 10. 10 plus the previous 10. 10 senses and 5 gross elements and 5 tanmatras, total 20. And there is Mahat Tattva, there is Ahankara, and also mind is there. So together all these are 23 elements. So next we come to the next chart, which is Karya Srishti. So at this stage of creation, these 23 elements are there, which are the ingredients of material creation. Just like if you want to make a sabji, vegetable, you go to the market and you purchase different ingredients. You may purchase brinjal, you may purchase some spices, some tomato, some coriander, and oil. So you bring all the ingredients to the kitchen, and the ingredients are existing. But you need to take those ingredients in different proportions and heat them at a certain temperature so that the sabji manifests. So at this stage of creation, only the universal ingredients are manifest. 23 elements are manifest. And these 23 elements start assembling. They assemble by the influence of Lord's Maya Shakti. They assemble, and after 1,000 years, the universal globe is formed. The fetus, universal fetus is formed. The universe is formed, and this Mahavishnu, from whose bodily pore this universe has manifested. Now, I discussed the process of creation of one universe, and this process exists for all universes. So like that, there are millions and millions of universes coming out of the bodily pores of Mahavishnu, and every universe undergoes this process. And once the universe manifests, this Mahavishnu expands himself as Garbhodakasai Vishnu and enters the universe. And after entering the universe, he finds the universe empty. And the universe which is formed because of the amalgamation of 23 elements, so that is empty now. So Garbhodakasai Vishnu fills the universe half with his own perspiration, and that perspiration becomes the Garbhodaka ocean. And Garbhodakasai Vishnu lies on that Garbhodaka ocean. From his navel comes a lotus, and in the lotus Brahmaji takes birth. And in that stem of the lotus, all the 14 planetary systems are present. You can see the description of Virat Rupa here. As I was mentioning in the previous class, when we are discussing the first and second chapters, Virat Rupa is a imaginary form of the Lord, where you imagine, you compare various elements of the universe with the bodily limbs of the Supreme Lord. Thus sometimes the 4 Varnas, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Sudras are compared to the limbs of the Lord. Brahmanas are the head of the Lord, Kshatriyas are the arms of the Lord, and Vaishyas are the thighs of the Lord, Sudras are the legs of the Lord. And sometimes you compare various planetary systems with the limbs of the Lord. Satyaloka is his head, Tapoloka is his chest, and Janaloka is his neck, Maharloka is his chest, then Svargaloka, heart, Bhuvarloka, navel. So like that, different 14 planetary systems are compared to the limbs of the Lord. So these are various descriptions of the universal form. Universal form is universe only, right? So there is no spiritual planet. So just like all the incarnations of the Supreme Lord have their own planets in the spiritual world, Virat Rupa does not have a planet in the spiritual world. Virat Rupa exists only in the universe. It's an imaginary form. It's a material form of the Lord, and it's a bona fide imagination, so that a materialistic person can understand the existence of God. And that completes the 5th chapter with the description of the creation of the universe. And to further emphasize that the Lord is the source of all ingredients of the universe, Brahmaji says, the Lord is the material cause of the universe. He describes the answer to the 6th question, Yatcha. What are the ingredients? What is this universe composed of? Basically, the different elements of the universe are manifested from Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, who entered into the universe. So the Lord is the effective cause of the universe. Lord is the material cause of the universe. The material universe is not all in all. So all the universe has manifested from the bodily limbs of Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, or the body of the Supreme Lord. Still, material universe is not all in all. Apart from this material universe, there is spiritual universe also. There is spiritual realm also. So the universe is made of Lord's body. Still, the Lord is transcendental, and this universe is only Ekapada Vibhuti, while the spiritual world is the Tripada Vibhuti. Now, at this stage, Brahmaji gives a comparison between material universe and the spiritual universe from the 18th shloka to 22nd shloka of the 6th chapter. So in the material universe, there is birth and death cycle, but in the spiritual world, there is no birth and death cycle. In the material world, there are so many Grahamedis, but in the spiritual world, there is no such concept like material life or procreation and all that. There is sex life is absent there. Only spiritual life is present there. Only service to the Lord is present there. So there are many such comparisons. This material universe constitutes only 1/4 of the Lord's creation, but spiritual world constitutes 3/4 of the entire expanse of the Lord's energy. So after that, Brahmaji continues to describe that all universes are situated in the Lord's powerful manifest energies, and only by the Lord's empowerment I create and Shiva destroys. So Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Vishnu is the maintainer, but Vishnu is also the supreme creator, primary creator of the universe, and Brahmaji is only secondary creator as an instrument in the hands of Lord Vishnu. So now Brahmaji expresses his deep devotion to the Supreme Lord. In the 34th shloka of the 6th chapter, he says, Na bharati menga brusho apalakshyate, na vaikvachinme manaso mrishagati, na me hrishikani patantya satpathe, yanme hrudautkanthya vatadhrito harihi. He says, Na bharati menga brusho apalakshyate. Oh my dear Narada Muni, my words will never speak anything wrong. Na bharati menga mrishopalakshati. Navai kvachin me manaso amrishagatihi. My mind will never think of anything wrong. Name hrishikani patanti asatpathe. My senses will never traverse on a wrong path. Name hrishikani patanti asatpathe means with my senses, my bodily senses, I cannot do anything wrong. Whatever I say is right. Whatever I think is right, whatever I do is right. Means I cannot say or do or think anything wrong. How come Brahmaji is saying like this? Because in the last line he says, Yanme hridautkanthyavathadritho harihi. Yanme hridi autkanthyavata. With great zeal and determination, I have accepted the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Hari within my heart. Because of my sincere devotion unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, whatever I say, whatever I do, whatever I think is always correct. So to the degree one aligns oneself with devotional service of the Lord, to that degree, one can be sure of one's thoughts and actions and words. Brahmaji says, He is a very pure representative of the Supreme Lord. Right in the beginning of his speech, Brahma told Narada Muni that the Lord is everything. He has created everything. I only recreate what has already been created by Him. I am not the primary creator. So like that, Brahmaji is very honest and obedient and humble servant of the Lord. And he answered all the 6 questions of Narada Muni. He said that, my dear Narada Muni, you asked about the characteristics and the basis and the dependence or foundation of the universe. It is Lord Vasudeva or Lord Narayana who is the basis and dependence and everything of the universe, foundation of the universe. And you asked me how this universe is created. Yes, this universe is created in this way. From the bodily force of Mahavishnu, 23 elements of this universe manifest, and all the 23 elements will be amalgamated, and then the universal fetus or the universe is formed, and Mahavishnu expands himself as Garbhodakasaya Vishnu and enters the universe and manifests all the details of the universe. And all the various abodes or planets within the universe are manifested from Garbhodakasaya Vishnu's body. And those planets are compared to various limbs of the Lord. Thus, the formation of the universe is compared to formation of the universal form. And one more question which we have not yet discussed is, how is it preserved or conserved or dissolved? So the destruction of the universe is also described. So the destruction of the universe and the conservation of the universe both are same, in the sense that when the universe is destroyed, after one period of universal creation, once the universe is destroyed, this universe again merges back into Mahavishnu's body. So basically, this destruction of the universe is conservation of the universe within Mahavishnu's body only. So that is also Yat Samstham. This is the answer to Yat Samstham. So all these are explained nicely. And Brahmaji says that whatever I said is correct because I am aligned with the will of the Lord. I am devoted to the Lord. And though I have high qualities, I cannot understand the Lord. It is beyond my conception. Right? Brahmaji says like this. He says that Prajapati nam abhivanditah pati. Although nantam vidamyahamami munayogra jaste. So there are so many other verses that Brahmaji says that although I have become so austere, and although I have become the head of so many Manus and Prajapatis, and although I have followed so many rituals with great determination, still I can never understand the Supreme Lord. Even the Lord cannot know His limits, what to speak of you and me. Still I glorify His activities to the extent I understand. Yatha matim, yatha shruti. So whatever we hear from bona fide sources, whatever we could understand from those bona fide sources, we can always, based on that, we can always glorify the Lord. Brahmaji himself says that I cannot completely understand the Supreme Lord, the extent of His glories. Then, in the 7th chapter, Brahmaji says that, my dear Narada Muni, I described to you the manifestation of this universe, or the activities of the Lord's Purushavatas. Purushavatas are 3, Mahavishnu, Garbhodakasaya Vishnu and Kshirodakasaya Vishnu. They manage the universal creation. They are related to the universe, material universe. Apart from these Purushavataras, the Supreme Lord has so many Leelavataras, or pastime incarnations. There's this Brahmaji enumerates so many incarnations, and he very briefly describes their activities in the 7th chapter of this 2nd canto. And these pastimes of all these incarnations are described throughout Srimad Bhagavatam. So Brahmaji says, Varahadev, Suyagna, Kapila, Dattatreya, 4 Kumaras, Naranarayan Rishi, Prithu, Rishabhadev, Hayagriva, Matsyavatar, Kurmavatar, Narasimhavatar, Vamanavatar, Hari, Hamsavatar, Dhanvantari, Parashurama, Rama, Vyasadev, Buddha, Kalki. These are various incarnations of the Supreme Lord. Varahavatar's descriptions will come in the 3rd canto of Bhagavatam. Suyagna, his description will come in the 4th canto and in the 8th canto of Bhagavatam. Kapila's teachings are there in the 3rd canto of Bhagavatam. Dattatreya will come in the 4th canto, 1st chapter. 4 Kumaras, they manifest in the 3rd canto They have some other activities in the 4th canto also. Naranarayan Rishi, 11th canto, and 12th canto also they come. Then Prithu Maharaj, 4th canto describes Prithu Maharaj's incarnation. Then Rishabhadev, 5th canto. Hayagriva, 5th canto. Fish, Kurmavatar, and also Matsyavatar. They both are discussed in the 8th canto of Bhagavatam, Samudra Manthan, and the 24th chapter, Matsyavatar. And Narasimhavatar is described in the 7th canto. Lord Hari, who saved Gajendra, he comes in the 8th canto of Bhagavatam. Vamanadev, 8th canto. Hamsavatar, 11th canto of Bhagavatam. Dhanvantari, 8th canto of Bhagavatam during Samudra Manthan episode. Then Parashurama Avatar, 9th canto. Lord Rama, 9th canto. Vyasadeva, in the 1st canto only he comes. Then Buddha's description is very minimal here and there in the 2nd canto and some other canto, but he's not very elaborately discussed. Kalki Avatar comes in the 12th canto. Like that, different incarnations of the Supreme Lord are enumerated by Brahmaji, and their activities are described very briefly, and their activities are described elaborately in the future cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. And after describing the Purushavatas, which mainly are pertaining to the creation of the universe, and after describing the Leelavataras, they perform so many beautiful enchanting pastimes through the internal potency of the Lord. Brahmaji comes to the enchanting descriptions of Krishna. So he gives a very short overview of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in the 2nd canto only. He describes how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, fountainhead of all incarnations. He is the source of all Leelavataras and Purushavataras, Manvantaravatas, Yugavataras, and many other categories of avatars. And Krishna has taken birth in Mathura, in Kamsa's jail, and then he went to Vrindavan, and he performed so many enchanting leelas like killing Putana, killing Shakatasur, liberating Nalakavara and Manigriva, subduing Kaliya, swallowing forest fire, and performing Damodar Leela. Like that, so many pastimes Krishna has performed. So Brahmaji has summarized all the incarnations of the Lord, the Purushavatas, the Leelavataras, and Krishna himself directly the source of all avatars. And then finally he said, it is easy to count the atoms on this universe, on this earth, but it is not very easy to count the glories or incarnations or the Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela of Krishna. Krishna's glories are innumerable, while the atoms in this universe can be counted very easily in comparison to counting Krishna's qualities. It is impossible even to know the extent of Krishna's material energy, what to speak of the extent of Krishna's spiritual energy. And he gives the example of Anantadev. He says, Nantam vidamyahamame munayograjaste maya balasya purushasya kutovaraye gayan gunan dashashatanana adideva. He says that Anantadeva, Anantasesha, with his thousands of hoods, has been glorifying the Supreme Lord since time immemorial. And he could not even completely enumerate the qualities and pastimes of the Lord, what to speak of elaborating them. If enumeration is so difficult, what to speak of elaboration? So if Anantadev with his thousands of mouths is finding that the Supreme Lord's qualities are unlimited, what to speak of any other person? And he says that how to understand the glories of the Supreme Lord? It is impossible to understand Krishna's greatness without the mercy of Krishna. Mercy of Krishna is needed to understand him. In the 42nd shloka of this chapter, Brahmaji says, Yesham sa esha bhagavan dayayedananta sarvatman ashrita pado yadi nirvyalekam te dustaramati taranti cha devamayam naisham mamahamiti dhihi swasrugala bhakshe. Yesham sa esha bhagavan dayayedananta. That Ananta, unlimited Lord's daya is what is needed to understand him. And sarvatmana ashrita pado yadi nirvyalekam. Nirvyalekam means without any duplicity. Without any duplicity, if we surrender unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, then we can have an understanding of his glories. Without his mercy, without unpretentious, non-duplicitous surrender unto his Lord, we cannot attract his mercy. And without attracting his mercy, we cannot understand Krishna. And without understanding Krishna, we cannot cross over this material ocean. He says, Te dustaram atitaranti cha devamayam naisham mamahamiti dhihi swasrugala bhakshi. So it is extremely difficult to cross over this material ocean without the mercy of the Lord. That's what Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita. He says that mamamaya duratyaya daivi hiesha gunamayi mamamaya duratyaya mamevaye prapadyante maya metam tarantiti. It is extremely difficult to overcome this material existence, but one who takes my shelter can easily cross over this insurmountable Maya. And that surrender of Krishna should be nirvyalikam, unpretentious, non-duplicitous. So, and who all have overcome this material ocean? Brahmaji even gives examples also. Prahlad, who was born in the dynasty of demons, he crossed over this material ocean and he attained the lotus feet of the Lord. Swayambhu Manu and his family, Anga Maharaj, Prachina Barhi, Dhruva, Aila, Muchukunda, Janaka, and so many other exalted souls performed bhakti yoga and attained the devotional service of the Lord. And here in the 46th shloka, Brahmaji further says, Te vai vidantyatitaranti cha deva mayam Stri Shudra Huna Shabara Api Papa Jiva Yadyadbhuta Krama Parayana Shila Siksha Tiryak Jana Api Kimushruta Dharanaye. He says, Tevai Vidanti Atitaranti Cha Deva Mayam Stri Shudra Huna Shabara Api Papa Jivaha. Even the most degraded and fallen and low-born tribal kind of people also can be elevated in their consciousness, can come to Krishna consciousness if yadyadbhuta krama parayana shila siksha, if they are trained by pure devotees. By the training of pure devotees, even degraded people also can be elevated in their consciousness. The best example is Mrigari, who was a cruel hunter. He would take pleasure in half-killing animals. When the half-killed animal is crying out of pain while leaving its body, Mrigari is accustomed to take pleasure in the pain of that crying animal. Such a heinous hunter is transformed into a pure devotee by Narada Muni's grace, by the training of Narada Muni. And Tiryak Jana Api Kimu Shruta Dharanaye. If such people can be elevated to proper consciousness, what to speak of Shruta Dharanaye, those people who are dedicated to the process of Shravanam, hearing Krishna's glories. So, by the process of Jnana, one may attain Brahman. By the process of Yoga, one may realize Super Soul. But by the process of Bhakti, one can realize Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavatam is a collection of all Lord's vibhutis and Lord's expansions and incarnations and the stories of Lord's devotees. So, my dear Narada Muni, Brahma is telling, he's concluding his talk. Brahma told Narada Muni, my dear Narada Muni, I have explained to you the glories of the Supreme Lord in short, but now you expand them and disseminate them and spread this knowledge of Bhagavatam everywhere. So, the mood is you should explain Bhagavatam in such a way that people become devotees of the Lord. People take to the process of Bhakti Yoga. And I have also spoken a lot about the external energy of the Lord and about the creation of this material universe that actually happened through the external energy of the Lord. So that is also important for one to hear. By hearing the pastimes of the Lord that he performs through his external potency or Maya, one will not be influenced by Maya. He says, Mayam varnayato mushya ishwarasya numoditaham Srinvataha shraddhaya nityam maya yatma namuhyati. He says, Mayam varnayato mushya. Means, if we do varnan, if we describe the activities of the Supreme Lord that he performs through material energy or Maya, then one will not be influenced by that Maya. One can get out of this illusory energy. In this way, Lord Brahma concludes his narration of the activities of the Lord in relation to the material energy while he was speaking to Narada Muni. So, we have discussed the 4 chapters, chapter number 4, 5, 6, and 7 of the second canto. And in the 4th chapter, we have seen how Sukadeva Goswami has offered fervent prayers to the Lord before answering the questions of Parikshit Maharaj. In the first 3 chapters, Parikshit Maharaj has heard from Sukadeva Goswami that he has to hear about the Supreme Lord. And Parikshit Maharaj became very eager to know first about the Lord's activities in creating this material universe. So Sukadeva Goswami offered prayers to the Lord and began the description of the creation of the material universe from the 5th chapter. He said that Brahmaji has explained the process of creation to Narada Muni once. I will quote their conversation and answer your question, O Parikshit. Then he quoted Brahmaji's conversation. And Narada Muni asked Brahmaji 6 questions about the universe, about the characteristics of the universe, about the foundation or basis of the universe, about the creation of the universe, about the dissolution of the universe, about the ingredients of the universe. And Brahmaji has described all these answers to all these questions very elaborately. And finally, Brahmaji, after describing the activities of Lord's Purushavasaras, he spoke about Leelavataras also, and he also spoke that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he summarized Krishna's pastimes, and he said that because of my devotion to the Supreme Lord Krishna, whatever I say, whatever I do, whatever I think is correct, and it is difficult to completely enumerate the glories of the Lord, because even Anantasesha also finds it difficult to expand the glories of the Supreme Lord. I tried my best, and now that I have given to you this knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam, you try to expand this knowledge everywhere so that people can become devotees of the Lord and take to the process of Bhakti Yoga. And in the next session, we will take up the last 3 chapters of second canto, 8th, 9th and 10th chapters, and we will conclude the second canto. Thank you all very much. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.